Okay, y'all. Welcome to the live video here. Okay. So today's message is going to be one called gossip. You know, what is gossip? What is exposure? What is intent? What is motive? And what is government, right? Because, should these be ruled, in a society that's on crack and, free will is on steroids, Because, free will is like an exercise, right? Just like when you go to the gym. Let me get your gears turning. I like to get your guys' shake off the low vibrational energy real quick. So if you go to the gym, right, and you're an average person, you probably hop on the treadmill, you do some light workouts, but then you see some people who are deadlifting 1,000 pounds. See, that would be gym life on crack. They are pulling the absolute whatever you can do, biggest possible lift, right? But for the most people, you just kind of go in there, but you see that, right? And then you see the ones who are doing nothing. It's kind of like the same thing. So this title is going to be called Gossip. And I'll also want to get your guys' gears turning on the type of governments, right? So we're going to draw the sun over here. This is the sun, S-O-N. And in the physical, it was S-U-N in the Old Testament, right? When people would look up to see these lights and they couldn't explain them. What's that? What's this? Now we got more understanding because we have the spiritual revelation, which is the New Testament. So you have the sun, which is, I'm looking for one word, guys, greater. This is the greater light, right? And then we'll draw the good old, over here, the moon. Here's the moon. Has little spots on it, little. This is the moon. And what do we call this in the Bible? The lesser light. Okay? So now, we're going to learn about gossip, exposure, intent, motive, government. Here's our government, spiritual governments. You have the greater to rule the day, the lesser to rule the night. Right? And so, let's start off with the intent of gossip. Let's look at some exposures, or some definitions, I should say. So, what's the definition of gossip? So the definition of gossip is this. It's casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. So pretty much what everybody's talking about, on the face of the earth right now is, you have gossip. So gossip is like talking, right? So we have gossip, which is talking about others. That's not confirmed, right? So when you look at gossip, society, right, like technology has really disconnected us. This little thing called a phone has disconnected us. But, what does it mean to the intent of gossip? So you know what gossip is now. So it's casual, meaning people like, hey, you hear about Jack and you hear about Donna. And then you have unconstrained, which is like people who just like talk crap and bully people. And then you have conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. Now, what's intent? Intent is an aim, a purpose, intention, objective, object, a goal, a target, an end. So I want you guys to think of, and then motive, right? So you have gossip, intent, and then motive. All three of these go hand in hand to work together. This reminisces with that, this with that, and they all pair up. You can't gossip without an intent or motive behind your gossip. the intent and motive, this always shows the heart. Remember that. This will show this person's heart. Always. These two are heart showers. Right? Okay, so now that we got that down, let's break down what exposure means. Because there are going to be two little topics, two key variables to this. You have gossip, but a lot of people think gossip is exposure. This is not exposure. This is its own group. What's the definition of exposure? Or exposed? It means not covered or hidden. It means it's visible. You see? And we forget that because you have exposure, right? It means not hidden. Uncovered. Okay? And you see, exposure to something or someone is what builds up the intent and motives to those who gossip. Right? And this is what creates a lot of this. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's gossip. Just because something's not hidden and uncovered, it doesn't mean that people are gossiping. It just means it's been exposed. It's exposure. It's exposed. Right? Alright, so we have that going. Okay, so what's the Bible say about exposure? Well, let's start off with Ephesians 5:11. It says, see, what I love about the Bible, it says all people will learn from disobedience. So imagine the sun, the greater light, to govern the day, and the moon, the lesser light, to govern the night. Right? It says, for you were once in darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruit of the light consists of all goodness, righteousness, and truth. See what I'm saying? So now we just figured out gossip, right? Gossip, exposed, and then exposure. Right? So when you look at these definitions in truth, the main thing about gossip is, the definition is involving details that are not confirmed as being true. So this right here does not mean it's good. See, because if you're really on the proper channels, it says of true. Because it tells you right here, it says, and find out what pleases the Lord. So it's like this scavenger hunt. You got to find out what pleases Him. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, right? Rather expose them. See? So now he gave you the word of, now there's two different types of gossip. See? That's what's cool about the Bible. You have a worldly gossip. And then you have, I wouldn't even call the Bible gossip. You have that and it's biblical exposure. You have biblical exposure. And it's not gossip because it's backed by one word. What is that, y'all? Truth. Remember Pilate? He said, what is truth? You see? So, when you learn these, the Bible says exposure, and now we're going to tell you what kind of tool do they use to expose, man? I'll show you. Where is that flash? Well, I got a flashlight. I think it might be in here. Yeah, right here. Boom. So, the tool they use to expose is this. Right? So, how do they expose gossip? Or how do they do this with that? With this. And I want you to imagine the sun, the greater, using this. Woo! And then I want you to imagine the lesser using this. And And now we're going to talk about how they both come together to govern you, right? And how God's perfect system revolves around him being the king over every king on planet Earth with this, right? So, we got a little breakdown of this right here, so let's continue. Now, I want to talk about how technology has really separated. What does gossip look like if judgment was to come? How would the intent and motives be judged? Because a lot of people don't really communicate with their enemies anymore out in public. We're separated, right? We're separated. Technology has separated us. COVID, right? What did they create? COVID was a separating, a dividing tool. 6 feet buffer, right? But that doesn't mean the world just quit doing this. So I wanted to show you what happens and how things are built in the social world. So let's say you post something, right? Let's say you go out for the day and you see somebody at Walmart. They kind of like let's use an example. There's one of exposure. So somebody bumped your cart at Walmart. We're going to use 2 examples, right? So here's a post on Facebook. Example number 1, and then you have example number 2, right? So somebody bumps your car at Walmart, and they're like, they didn't say sorry, they ding, and then they walked away. They're like, whatever, you know? And then you were quiet. You didn't say nothing. Some people could have been like, excuse me. And then you go home and you post something, right? You go home and you're like, I need to vent somehow. And let's say you post a post like, let's see. Let's say you put like something about being rude, like your rudeness makes you lame, right? A lot of people are going to go, what are you talking about, dude? But you, the person who posted it, what was your intent and motive? So your mind is a projector, right? That God can see on Judgment Day. Like God can go into your mind and he can be your eyes and see exactly what you're thinking about. So let's say the person so you create this post and it goes on your Facebook, right? So this is Facebook, Insta, TikTok, Snap, LinkedIn, right? Your motives were all from that guy at the store, right? And then that is what's cycling out on all your social medias, is your intent motive of your personal gossip on your situation that happened. And then let's say you have 20,000 people who share that. So now you shared it, let's see, 5K. Now that's on 5,000 different channels. And now people are commenting on it. And you have that. And then you have another type of gossip, right? Which is the meme format. So let's use an example of, me. I had a dream about a bear, right? 2 times. Like, I think I know who 2 bears are, the woman and the man. And so you guys start doing a TikTok of, what would you rather choose, a man or a woman, right? And then you cycle this on all social media. And then it's shared to 1 million, and it's commented. And you see, this branches off. And it cycles throughout all society who uses social media, right? And this is what creates groups, right? Just like the movie Minions, right? A lot of gossip people, let's draw an arrow down here, are devil's minions, right? And a minion group is ran by 3 super minions. You have minion number 1, 2, the 3 chihuahuas, right? And the way they get so big is they have a group of minions. And so if there's like 3.2 billion gossip minions, gossip trolls, I call them trolls, this is what puffs up these people. Right, and then for the most part of society, it's not intellectual. They are this group right here with intents and motives. They'll just see something real quick and they'll speak it. But some people, God has given the depths of knowledge where they can navigate. You know, using the lesser light, the greater light. So when you look at this, you know, you have the trolls are rooted in gossip, right? And then so we're going to talk about what were these created for. The government. See, so now we're going to bring it all into fruition here with the government, right? So, what is government for? All right? So, if you go to Romans chapter 13, I think my card fell out, didn't it? Yes, it did. Okay, so Romans 13 is talking about submission to governing authorities. And look, you're going to have to use your own personal judgment on this. I'm not talking about, like, this isn't a Revelation 13 mark of the beast message. This is more of a historic message. You know, the beginning when he created the sun to rule the day, the moonlight to rule the night. And now that we're at the end of all things, we know what the moon is, the devil's light, and the sun is the greater light. You know, you have the strong ox, the weak ox. Like, all this stuff is coming to fruition. We know what it means now, you know. So it's more of a message on that, guys. It's not, you know where I stand on the whole Revelation 13 is you tell those people to go shove it, you know. But, you know, you just don't accept it. You don't accept the mark. But this is not about that. And if you don't get that, then I'm sorry. But when it talks to submission to governing authorities, see, how would you govern all this stuff? Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's got an opinion. I mean, what happens when it gets out of whack, bro? And it causes civil unrest, separation, division at its greatest. And what happens when this stuff, people have to start being judged, right? Because judgment does come. You know, a world without judgment isn't a world that God has created. You know, judgment is part of his world. So it says, right here in verse number 5, it says, "But if you do wrong, be afraid. For rulers do not bear the sword for no reason." And look what God calls the lesser and the greater government. He says, they are God's servants and God's agents of wrath. So God calls these people servants, agents of wrath. That's what God calls these people. Do you know why God calls them that? Because when Jesus died, rose again, he went down and got the keys down here. And he went back up. And now he's the full governing authority of all the kings of the earth. That's what Jubilee means. You know, he couldn't have came and birthed Jubilee without being in control of everything. Because he is. He's in control of everything, right? And so, you know, when you're in control of everything, see, the gossip creates deception and chaos. And deception and chaos, it creates an illusion that somebody's not in control. But in fact, God calls the government his servants and agents of wrath. So it says they are God's servants, agents of wrath, to bring punishment on wrongdoers. See? So punish wrongdoers. See, so now we can connect the dots. So you have the lesser light, right, which is going to be your army, your law enforcement. These are God's servants to punish wrongdoers. And in Revelation chapter 9, a scary chapter of the Bible, with the fifth trumpet, the sixth trumpet, the fifth angel, the sixth angel, star that falls from heaven, they punish these people. You see God's government from the lesser light activated, and they straight are wrath, agents of wrath to punish wrongdoers. Because you don't hear anybody in that chapter who's marked by God get injured. Not one person. Right? So it says right there, it says, therefore it is necessary to submit to authorities, not only because of possible punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. See? So one thing that doesn't exist in this is a consciousness problem. It's a narcissistic problem, right? And you know this for the ones who are without self-control, you know? And God will raise up people who can, their eyes, governing eyes, can sift through evil. Like when you put goggles on underwater, right? It's most of the time when you look underwater without goggles, it's blurry. You're like, you can see, but you're like, it's like, whoa. But if you put goggles on, it's clear. You can swim underwater and be like, whoa, check that out, dude. So that's the same thing that happens when God gives a governing eyes on a throne to sift through evil, right? And so it says this is also why you pay taxes for the authorities. For the authorities are God's servants who give their full time to government. See, so God knows and I'm not, once again, this isn't to lift up all the politicians of today, right? This is a message that might reignite the true passion of why you're a politician. It might reignite that passion of like, whoa, I need to really do what God has called me to do, right? And so, look, I'm not trying to puff up corrupt politicians. If you guys don't understand that, like by how long you've been watching me, I don't really know what else to tell you at this point, because I hate corruption, you know? So I'm not a fan of it. It's wrong. It sucks. But anyways, so it says, give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay it. In revenue, then ensue it. In respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. See, I like how it says that. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Right there, that sums up a honorable government, not a corrupt one. Paul's talking about honor, right? See, so when you look at the intent of Facebook, you guys got to really ask yourself nowadays, right? So you have the moonlight, the sunlight. But what I want you to understand is every meme you post, like here's you, and you have your little phone in your hand, right? And then you post a meme. That meme cycles to another human being. Or let's just put a group, right? Right? Because remember, here's the thing about traveling things. So Jesus was in the garden, right? So here's the garden. Let's put J for Jesus. Now let's put Jesus. You guys will twist my words on everything I say. So you have Jesus, goes from the garden, right? And Rome came and got him, right? Which was from the Jews. The Jews were behind it the whole time. And then Jesus went to Pilate. So you have Jesus. So you have Jesus and Pilate. Right? And Pilate's like, I can let you go. And he said, you only have authority in what God's given you. But he said, but the ones who brought me to you will suffer a worse sin than you. They both sinned, right? So Pilate had a dream of his wife. So he had a pretty wife right here. Ooh, there's her little hair. And she told Pilate, don't have nothing to do with this guy. I had a dream. He's a holy man. And Pilate's like, but Caesar, see? And then so he knew the truth. He said it many times. So he is guilty of sin. You know? But there was a lesser sin and a greater sin. Right? And so he put the greater sin on them and the lesser sin on him. And I'm not saying these have to do with anything with light. So don't twist the message. You know, the lesser sin, the greater sin. Because why did he say that, dude? Because of intent and motive. You see? He was looking through Pilate, and he can see his mind, and he's like, your intent and motive is not like the Jews' intent and motive. That's why Christ said that to Pilate. Because their intent and motive was all bad from the get-go. His intent and motive, he noticed. He was a judge who was able to what? Wanting to be the servant and agent of wrath, punish wrongdoers. Eyes that can sift through evil and not be fooled. Not fooled. See? And it was honorable. Pilate was able to see that in the man Jesus on the trial. And he even mentioned it. He saw, this man did nothing deserving of death. This man has done nothing wrong. And then he had the dream. So he was correctly operating in a lesser light of God's government already. But see, the intent and motives of the gossip of the Jews is what was guilty. So, I want to explain to you the same thing that happens, because you hold a phone in your hand. We hold a phone in our hand, right? This is a powerful tool that can express things whenever you want. Everybody's a certified teacher now, right? So, you got this in your hand, and you make a post. And your intents and motives are now on a post that travel everywhere. And then you influence a group. Now you got to ask yourself, take away the name Jew and put your name right there. Let's say it's Emily. Let's say your name is Emily, man. And then you have Emily, and you have, let's just put Paul right here. And now Jesus brings the governing system of the greater light and the lesser light. Let's go ahead and just erase him now. Let's see it. Let me grab my eraser here. All right? So now, let's go ahead and erase this real quick. And he is a governing authority, right? He is. But now, we're going to put the greater light and the lesser light, which revert back to the governing system. See? Emily, who's going to have the greater sin and the lesser sin? Because the government now is going to weigh out on balance of scales, right? So you have a little scale, right? And then it goes like this. And then one of them weighs more than the other. These are scales, right? And they measure the intents and motives behind your actions. So a smear campaign, right? You post something, it goes to a group of people, then those group of people post it, and then it goes to another group of people. Right? And then this goes to another group of people, and then you have, before you know it, how many people have cycled this intent, and you have created this gossip thing which makes the 3.2 billion trolls on earth that are in Revelation chapter 9 and 11. And the smear campaigning starts cycling it, right? And look at cycling when it's fully grown, bro. They brought a perfect, sinless man who was God, and the smear campaign got him killed. The intent and motives of the talking and gossip of the elders and the teachers of the law got him killed. That is what happened. That's why he mentioned this, the intent and motive of each group. He said, Pilate, you weren't opposing me, right? And like they were. He might have still been opposing them, but not like they were, right? And so they were there to kind of just rule and get their taxes and their money. And so there was a motive and intent. And so that's why when you post a post, guys, your motives and intent are out there. You may think you're hiding it and you're not exposed and you're sitting there in your little seat on the Coliseum watching Godzilla, King Kong, and Gladiator up in there, and you're gazing on the battle. But don't forget, all of you who are in the Coliseum are a wave of information that is cycling, because all you're doing is looking at a battle and going, and then that wave of information cycles, and every word will be judged on Judgment Day on scales, right? And it'll be the intent and motives of your heart. And so that's why I want to really explain to you guys the truth behind gossip, the greater to rule the day, the lesser to rule the night, and that this is God's governing system. So on Revelation 9:11, see Rev 9:11. Well, actually just Revelation chapter 9. You're going to have two groups. You're going to have one kind of a CEO that starts it, but then retires, and then another one takes over on Revelation chapter 9. And this will be God's first wave. This will be a wave against evil. Right? It's going to be a perfect illustration, I think, because God's word is perfect. I think we're going to see for the first time the greater light and the lesser light working in harmonious, perfected governing. You know, when this starts, because it has to, man. Because how could you only attack those who are not sealed by God and not touch anybody who is sealed by God? With all the technology we have, dude, who would have to be governing such a system? God Almighty. He would have to. Man couldn't do such a thing, right? And let's just be real. Jesus Christ and God are the brilliance that created everything. And the Holy Spirit is the spirit that cycles throughout the earth. But the devil, he made also very wise. You know, he's the Budweiser, right? Budweiser is smart too. Very smart in building curriculum. And then you have people who are very smart in laying out the curriculum like a puzzle and figuring it out, right? So you have these things that are called gifts and talents. Gifts and talents are how people can write stuff on a board like this. I didn't go to school. You know, the gift and talent that has been given to me is why I'm able to use my gift on this chalkboard. So what I want you to understand is be careful about your post. And don't get too hypercritical, you know, but try to learn what exposure means, guys. And look, you got to imagine a world that is only left and right. And you have to imagine a world where the middle is gone. Right? Because I'm trying to tell you that this equals middle. And I'm not saying the middle class, a lot of you governing people, I can hear it. This has nothing to do with the middle class. The middle class, as far as the governing system goes, is a brilliant class. See? Because if you look at the top of the pyramid, I'll tell you something right here. Here's your pyramid scheme. You have the elites at the top. You have your poor people at the bottom. You have your middle class right here. They are the most spending people according to the elites. See, when you're building up a system, and I'm not talking about the day of wrath and when the elites go hide and all that stuff, because these clowns are going to abort mission and just hoard a bunch of money, build underground huts and all this other stuff. But the middle class is actually their true goal, because they're the ones who can invest in their companies. They're the ones who can do all this. These are the ones who keep them fed, dude. They're fed by the middle class. So I'm not talking about that at all. You know, that's a whole different subject. And they know it. They'll never admit it, but this is why they survive, you know, and they know it, but they don't ever speak truth. So, now this is the middle. I'm talking about lukewarm. You know, lukewarm middle. You know, lukewarm. And see, the reason to identify a real, authentic troll is you put a line out of an individual.
Here are matches for the troll.
Thanks, Siri. So, I didn't even say hey Siri, but, you know, so you draw a line, and this will be it, guys, and we'll put it into the video here. So, alright. So if you wanted to really make a system on how to determine who trolls are, okay. Like I was telling a friend the other day. So here, let's turn on the light. First of all, how do you govern things with that? Right? This. Right? So when you put a calibration system, you draw it out. Right? And you can do 8 of these, but we'll just do an example. Let's say I'm a calibration block. Let's just put Joshua. Right? Or put your name right there. And this is your peak. You know, you have your peak, which is your performance, right? Means your top. You have your middle. You have your middle, and then your rock bottom. And these can branch off into many different cycles, right? Depression, what happens at rock bottom? You're mad, you're low. Let's see, you're low, you're mad, you're depressed, you're saying things that are stupid, and then when you're in the middle, you're kind of balancing out. You're like, you can pay your bills, and then when you're at the top, you're overflowing. This is your overflow. Now, that's just a person's totem pole of who they are and what they're all about, right? So how would you judge a troll? Well, you would take these group of people and you would watch what they do to these type of people. And then all you have to do to, you know, just like when I go to school, right? If I fail a test, what do I get? You get an F. If you get a D, you get a D. If you get a C, you get a C, you get a B. You grade things, right? You get an A, B, C, D, or F. Like here's your grading thing. A, B, C, D, F. So I'm being graded. So you could also be graded too. But see, a lot of these people don't ever think they're going to be graded by this, by that, or by this. Us, we know we are. The reason why you keep climbing after you fall is because you can feel this, that, and this here. But the other ones who do this from here, all they do is sit and watch. So they don't know really about what this means. So if I was going to judge a system using this here, with that and this, with this, right? How would you put the light on a troll? Let's put the light on a troll here. So the light's on the troll. Okay? I would start collecting data using this right here. Whoop! Get on that T and R O L L. And then what would you do? You would watch them and collect data of what did they cycle when this person was down here. And then you collect it, right? And then over here, you grade it. Okay, so when he was at rock bottom, this troll, whoop, gossip. But what was their intent, and what was the troll's motive? And now you can figure out the heart of what was the issue. Were they using this? Were they using this? Or were they using this? right? And so you can give them a grade. Let's say you went, all right, they were quick to bash them, but they were at rock bottom, so we'll give it to them. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I'm gonna give them because this one's where you're like, well, somebody committed a crime and you're saying something about it. You're just kind of exposing this, so it's confusing. You might go, I'm gonna give them a B. Because they were at rock bottom doing nothing but no good. Let's use this now, right? And now we're going to raise them up, and they're going to be in the middle for a while. Got a good job. They're off drugs. They quit. So what are you going to do? You're giving. I got an F right here. Rock bottom, F, dude. They got a B because they were on top of it, right? They're on top of this and top of this, which is harder to value when you're here. But now, let's raise the ante. Now we're middle. He's clean off drugs for a year now. He's got his first year in. He's working a job. And now we're going to grade both of them again. Now we're going to collect the data of the troll using this over here. And then we're going to go, now we're going to watch and see what everyone is doing right here. And then we're going to give now Joshua, or put your name there. You're getting a B, dude. Good job. You quit cussing. Your semen retention, you might have failed, but you went 4 months, and then you failed, then you went 7, and then you went 2 years without sex, man. Or almost 2 years, right? And then, wait a minute. They stayed extremely negative. Yeah. They did the same thing over here that he did over here. So see the B? Now, you're light. Now you're starting to see the intent and motive and the hearts of these people. And now the professor's going to go, nah, you're going to drop to a D, man. What's going on here? Hang on a minute. Maybe we'll give a D minus. And now my grade went to a B. But we're going to raise it up a little more using this. Using that, this, and this. Right? So you have a peak top. This is where, 3 years clean. He's done with drugs. He's done with meth. 3 years by himself. He's done with codependency. See, because no matter who you are, you can be a rich man, a middleman, a poor man. You can still go from rock bottom to top. It doesn't mean you have to make $1 million. They're going to take your greatest rock bottom failures and see where you're at with them when you're up here. Right? And then now they're going to go, dude, you're getting an A, bro. A plus. You are not who you were here. You're F. You have changed using this. And then now we're going to cycle the troll information again one more time. What are they cycling at this point? And see, now your calibration system is done. The grading system is over. Because I can say the final grade for me was an A, right? For you worked your butt off. Now they went from a B to an F. The tables returned. Because you have to grade both. Just because you're a troll never in the arena doesn't mean this won't be graded. Remember when Jesus went to Pilate is when the grades came out. See, the grading system came out on the trial when Christ looked at Pilate and said, "You get a C because your intent and motives aren't them. They get an F, right? Because of the smearing campaign. They saw all the signs and wonders. They saw everything, and they still did not believe. They still spoke evil. See, so he graded them. So if you're going to build a system using this, that, this, and this, how would you do it? You would take the information data from these people, and then you would give out the grades. And then your grade started off poor, got better, got best. Their grade started off great because anybody could gossip at people at rock bottom, and it's going to seem like they're just exposing. You dirty da-da-da-da-da-da. But then when you change it, see, the trolls get graded in 3 cycles. We get graded in 3 cycles. Rock bottom, the ascend, the mountain. See, because this is a big old mountain, guys. So imagine this a mountain. Now let's draw out the mountain. That's the bottom of the mountain. That's the halfway point. That's the top. The trolls are the ones who never even make the climb, like the ones in the wilderness. But they gripe about the ones who are. That's why they end up with an F. These end up with a F, right? And so when you look at this concept, this is how you would make a perfect grading block of identification, because wait a minute, you cycled this information there, which we gave you, okay, we get it. But then the same information was cycled here. I don't really get it at this point. And then when they're up there, I really don't understand this at this point. You see? And that's when you can start building these systems of who these people really are. Because we just found out their intent, motive of their own heart. Which is, no matter what you do, how high you climb, how low you fall, that is going to be the information that they cycle. And how do you do this? By using this with that and this, which is greater and lesser, which brings the whole government into action. And they are ordained as God's agents of wrath to judge this and this and these. Right? And so that's why, you know, the mountain, it's all somebody's mountain climb is this and then 2 levels like that. That's your mountain. So guys, I really hope that you take this message seriously, and you need to understand, are you one of these groups of people? If you are, you can change. You can change. And it's simple. Just change the pattern of information you're putting out. You know, because these people don't win in the end. I don't care how many you got. You can have 5 billion people, and God's going to raise up some people who is able to take out 5 billion. Your army, the size of your army will not save you, because God's perfect biblical system will take action. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in, and please share this video with as many of your friends as possible. And let me give it a little close-up here. So you have the government, the mountain, and this right here, okay? The greater light, the lesser light.